Hey there! Welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. We're on an absolute roll these past few videos with Genshin Impact, but it's okay. Today we are taking a look at the first Sumeru events that we've gotten, plus I'm gonna be talking a bit about Sumeru exploration in general. I wanted to do this with areas like Enkanomiya and the Chasm, but Enkanomiya got their own exploration event, so I merged those two videos. And as for the Chasm, I just kind of ignored it, I guess. But Sumeru is a big area compared to the Chasm and Enkanomiya, so I think that it fits to get, a separate sort of video like this. So, we're gonna be tackling the events first and then the exploration. So, let's get to it. Let's start off with Graven Innocence. This is the first event, and, it came with Sumeru's release as well. It was okay, as in general. It's nothing spectacular, but it's okay because it's the first event of a new region. It is meant to be more about go around the area, learn the mechanics and such, and that's okay. Of course, it's also meant to give you a character of the element. In Inazuma they gave you Beidou because we already have lots of Electro characters. This time it's Collei because she's the only she's the only Dendro 4-star for now, and they want to give the players another Dendro character other than the Dendro MC. So that's fine and all, they want to give you somebody to do the Dendro puzzles if you don't want to use DMC and such. It's okay. It had 3 parts. It had a story part, the minigames part, and then this construct an Aranara statue. So let's tackle them one by one. The story was nothing. It wasn't anything important really. It was okay. It was about Collei and such. Didn't really matter. Nothing spectacular. Okay. Mini games. There were 3 types of mini games, I think, and then one was kind of a tick list, let's say. So you had a combat mini game. Well, you just went to areas and fought enemies, the new enemies. So okay. You had another mini game where you would use the Dendro zip lines, as I call them, to gather the coins or essence, what it was, and then reach a spot within a time limit and you would get a score. That was also okay. Last, you also had this picture taking thing where they wanted you to go and find, the Sumeru animals and beasts and other mechanics that they have, like plants and such. Which again, it was to introduce the players to the mechanics and make them use the mechanics in a way. So yeah, it was pretty much fine. I don't know why they had to give us another camera as a limited time gadget. We don't need to clog up the gadgets page even more. So I don't know why we couldn't just use the regular camera. So yeah, that was that. And as for the tick list, it was a tick list for the 2 bosses, the overworld bosses, the Chicken and the Electro Regisvine. And they just wanted you to explore their mechanics as well and kind of do different stuff with them. And again, to see them at least. And that's the big one. This event again was just a full-on explore Sumeru, learn about its mechanics, and get some extra stuff while you're doing it. Which was okay. Again, it's the first event of a region, and that's its job, to introduce you to the region. So it was okay for the first event. So yeah, Graven Innocence gets a thumbs up. It was cool, and it did its job. Second, we got Lost Riches, our second rerun, I think, of Lost Riches. And this one sucked. It was absolutely horrendous compared to previous renditions of Lost Riches. Why? Because they changed the core gameplay of it. I don't know which patch you joined in, but let us compare the other Lost Riches. So previously, you would go to an area, you would equip the Seelie, and then you would walk around, and you would need to pay attention to the Seelie, and as it started glowing brighter, you were going closer to a treasure. So basically, cold or hot, and it was perfectly fine. It felt like searching for buried treasure, like a metal detector kind of thing, and it was fine. And when you approached some of the spaces where treasure was there, you might get some treasure hoarders ambushing you, which is fitting because they're also hunting for treasure themselves. So it was pretty much fine. Just go around. It was very, very easy to understand where to go depending on the Seelie's glow. I don't think anybody complained about the gameplay of Lost Riches, which makes it even like more confusing why they changed the gameplay for the worst. So now, if you have experienced the event, you go to an area and you need to find these energy balls to power up the Silly, and then the Silly shows you the treasure. The problem is that everything is mapped out. Everything is shown on the minimap, so there's no essence of finding anything lost, really. Because the energy balls are completely, like, again, shown you on the minimap, so you collect them, and when you collect 3 of them, you immediately, again, automatically get a pin where the treasure is, and the area where the treasure is also starts lighting up. So, like, again, I don't understand what the heck is up with the change in the gameplay. The comment that I really wanted to make about this event is that it felt kind of automated. The player didn't need to do anything, didn't need to pay attention to anything. Just follow the minimap and you're done. When you get to the treasure, you might need to defeat some enemies or do a challenge or something. But, like, again, what's the point of Lost Riches if everything is mapped out for the player? Like, I wanted to kind of make a comparison that if you were to, let's say, build a bot, an AI to play Lost Riches, it would be extremely easy for this one because you'll just tell it follow the minimap, like follow the icons on the minimap. And for the other Lost Riches, though, you're gonna tell a bot to follow the glow of the Silly. That's not gonna be easy. You see what I mean? That it felt so worse and automated and just bad compared to the other Lost Riches. And, like, I think in Inazuma, Lost Riches also came pretty early in the region, so there is no, reasoning or argument to say that, it's one of the first events, so it's fine if it's bad. That's okay for Graven Innocence, but Lost Riches? Like, why this thing? One of my friends went into one of these areas, the first area, and he was like, the Silly isn't glowing. Is the treasure, like, underground in the caves? I'm like, it has nothing to do with the Silly's glow. And they were like, whoa, this is bad. Like, that was their reaction. Like, they were expecting to follow the Silly and to see it glow, and then were like, wow, this is just mindless. And I fully agree. It's extremely bad. So yeah, Lost Riches sucked completely. I hated compared to the previous ones. And even just as an event. Like, it's just nothing. It's absolutely mine. Just turn off your brain and you will complete Lost Riches, which just doesn't feel nice. So yeah. Moving on to our third event. A fourth one is coming, but I'm just gonna do the video now, I'm gonna be honest. Is the Phase Potions event. In general, this event was very bad. Very, very bad. So what is this event if you haven't done it, or just let's do a recap. So you go to a guy, he tells you he needs some help with some research, and then he teleports you to a domain door, the classic domain door that we've reused since 1.5. And then you enter the domain. So there were like different stages. You would enter the domain, and as you killed enemies, you would fill up a potion with charges. When you had at least one charge, you could Zawarudo the game, and then you would need to take a picture of the enemies to see their weak points. This weak points thing, it didn't really matter. These enemies just had like orbs on them, and then when you took the picture, it would collect these orbs, and then it would unleash an effect. That's okay in like theory and in an idea, but this like event had two problems. Number one is that this effect was basically a one-shot. Like, even if you didn't, you needed to, capture lots of these orbs to empower this effect, but even with, a few orbs, this thing just basically one-shotted every enemy. And especially if you had, 2 or 3 charges already in the potion, you would go 2 to 3 enemy waves, basically one-shotting everything and ruining the fun, really, of combat in this game. It seriously didn't feel nice just one-shotting anything. And yeah, I didn't fully enjoy this. I've seen a lot of people in discussions about this event really hate this one-shotting mechanic, and I can understand, I agree. I thought it was okay, but I understand that one-shotting just isn't fun. I saw somebody recommend that we should have just been an absolute Zawarudo where the player can move while the enemies are stunned. That would have been awesome, you know. As many charges as you would get to the potion, you would extend the time of the Zawarudo. That's amazing. That's an amazing idea, and I hope we may get a new rendition of this event with this effect. But yeah, this one shot was really nothing, and yeah, not interesting. The second problem, a very big problem though, was that you were forced to use trial characters and trial team compositions. The teams were set, and my goodness, were they bad. And this splits into two. Either the characters were extremely poorly built, or the teams had no synergy at all. Let's go through them one by one and like explain them. As a general thing, I don't mind if these teams aren't meta. Right, I don't care if you didn't put the meta weapon, the meta artifact for the Abyss, you know, on a character, or the meta team compositions. I don't care about that. I just want the team to work together. In previous events with trial characters like the Battle Misty dungeon, we had like a nice group of trial characters, and we were able to choose the characters that we wanted. So even if the character was kind of poorly built, you could still work around them by building a team compositions that suited your gameplay style, but also suited the character themselves with the build that they were given in this trial form. Here, these compositions were ass. They didn't feel nice to play. Like, you need to defeat the enemies in order to gain charges to your potion, but these teams were so badly built, and again, badly composed, that you weren't even able to kill the enemies. Also, some of the enemies were just annoying to go up against with the characters that you were given. So again, let's go one by one. Number one was Klee, Xingqiu, Kole, and Kokomi. So this is supposed to be kind of like a virgin team. I think Xingqiu was okay built, although they didn't give him Emblem of Severed Fate. Why did they not give Xingqiu Emblem of Severed Fate, and they gave him like Heart of Depth and Noblesse? Like, it's an okay build, but when you give Xingqiu Sacrificial Sword, give him Emblem. Like, why? Kole is Kole, like, we don't have any Dendro characters, so, you know, they aren't gonna give you, like, this should have been a Tinari main DPS team if they wanted to put Tinari in. So Kole is the only support they can give you except for the main character, but they're not gonna give you that. And then Kokomi is Kokomi there for, I guess, the healing and Hydro application, although Xingqiu does that well. The problem is Klee. And it's not that Klee isn't a good Pyro DPS. They gave her the Witsith, they gave her Crimson Witch, which is very much fine. The problem is that Klee isn't an easy Pyro DPS. She's very clunky. She's a DPS that needs plenty of time, investment, in order to get comfortable with using her. She has very slow attacks. You need to like jump, cancel her charge attacks. Right, and you know, she's a lolly, she moves slow, and her attack range is abysmal for a Catalyst user. So she needs a lot of work investment in order to feel comfortable using her. As a trial character, so people that don't use Klee, she feels horrible to play. And they even reused her as we will see later. So I don't understand why they just didn't put Diluc. Like, Diluc is an easy to use 5-star, and he would do an amazing better job on somebody that doesn't have experience with Diluc, compared to Klee again. So yeah, like, that's the problem with this team mainly. Klee is not an easy DPS, she's not meant really for trial. I would have easily preferred if I could choose perhaps between Klee or Diluc or Yoimiya or even Yanfei. Like, Yanfei feels much smoother to a new player to her than what a new player to Klee, right? So again, I don't like why is Klee there? Second was Kokomi again, Fischl, Yelan, and Sucro. So this is supposed to be kind of a Sucro's taser. It was okay, like, no really major problems. I think that maybe they should have run Fischl with like Gilded Dreams or Thundering Fury even, for the extra reaction damage. Instead, they run her with 2 Thundering Fury and 2 Gladiator, which I believe is like much worse than the extra reaction damage that you will get from Thundering Fury, even if Fischl isn't getting the cooldown reduction, right? So that didn't feel nice. Of course, Gilded Dreams is one of her best ones right now. Like, Kokomi here was meant to be the driver okay. Yellen is Yellen, sure. And Sucrose is Sucrose, so, she will buff the reaction damage, the electro charge. This team was fine, nothing really problematic. It's just that maybe a few other units could have been better. Like, I actually would have liked maybe instead of Kokomi, you could have had Beidou, but I guess you don't have a healer there. But, that kind of stuff, like this one was okay. No big problems. Third one was this shitty-ass freeze team. Chongyun, Mona, Kazuha, and Diona. What the fuck is Chongyun doing there? Like, what? I do not understand. Mona, okay, she doesn't have the best Hydro application, but we're playing a sort of freeze team here, so okay. Kazuha is Kazuha. Sure, extra elemental damage, that's fine, he's Kazuha. Diona, shields, heals, good Cry application, decent. What the fuck is Chongyun doing there? Freeze? Chongyun is a Claymore character. He cannot freeze, he will always shatter. Who is he gonna infuse with his E? Kazuha? Kazuha is going to be on the field dealing cryo damage with his auto attacks? No. Why isn't Ayaka here to play freeze? And they gave Chongyun Blizzard Strayer. Blizzard Strayer in a non-freeze team loses so much damage, like in damage charge, so much usefulness, it drops dead in how useful Blizzard Strayer is in non-freeze teams. Nobody runs Chongyun with Blizzard Strayer because he cannot use Blizzard Strayer. He always shatters because he's a Claymore. What the fuck? What is Chongyun doing here? Like, maybe put instead of Mona, use Xingqiu, so that Chongyun infuses Xingqiu and Xingqiu freezes. And heck, gives Xingqiu Blizzard Strayer. Like, I do not understand this super scuffed freeze team. If Ayaka was there instead of Chongyun, or heck, Kaeya was there instead of Chongyun, or basically any other cryo character, we would have been perfect. But I do not understand why Chongyun is there. And again, with Blizzard Strayer. Like, what? What? Like, I don't know. Like, this was really bad. Just a really bad team that felt horrendous to play with just insanely bad rotation. Just, ugh. Again, Ayaka. Like, Ayaka with Mona, she extends Omen's duration because of freeze. It's like, ugh. Oh, goodness. The fourth team, then, was a Eula physical carry team, but this was also super scuffed. It was Eula, Kaeya, Fischl, and Bennett. So, Eula is our main carry here, physical carry, sure. Kaeya is there as a second cryo, elemental, he gets some good elemental particles, he has some self-sustain and such. Sure, as far as a search from a simple Keqing Bane's Guide search, Rosaria is a bit better. We could have Diona as our second cryo and elemental stuff, she also heals. Like, Kaeya is decent, but there are better options. They gave him Blizzard Strayer for some fucking reason when we're not freezing. Like, there's no Hydro in this team. What the fuck is Blizzard Strayer gonna do on Kaeya? Why doesn't he have 2 Blizzard Strayer and 2 Nobles? Like, what the fuck is this building? He had Favonius Sword, which I guess is fine, although I think Kaeya doesn't really need that much energy recharge. Or he could have just had a better weapon. Amenoma Kageuchi, to be honest. Fischl, she's the superconduct here. She's perfectly fine. I think people put Beidou instead of Fischl because in multiple targets, Beidou does a bit better than Fischl. And, she has a shield and such. So, okay, like, Fischl isn't a problem. Bennett, like, I know he's Bennett and he buffs attack. But from what I searched, he isn't actually that perfect of a buffer to Eula. Like, I think Raiden is much better, so I would have actually liked a double cryo, double electro team here instead of Bennett. Keep Kaeya, sure, but put Fischl and Raiden. Like, Raiden buffs burst damage so that Eula deals even more damage through her burst. It's Raiden, she deals her own good damage, easy superconduct. Like, Bennett wasn't really needed here, but this team was okay. The problem is, Eula also went against the Wolves, which isn't that good against, because they are scuffed AF. And the biggest problem, of course, was Kaeya using Blizzard Strayer when there's no Hydro in this team. It's like, wow. Bennett also was using Favonius Sword. 2 Favonius weapons is like absolute overkill here, I believe. And also, with these characters being level 80 plus their weapons being level 80, Bennett with a Favonius sword gives 0 attack. Well, he doesn't give 0 attack bonus from his ultimate, but he gives a lot worse than other weapons, right? Bennett is very easy to build because you just give him an ER Sands and then slap the highest base attack weapon, and that's how you build Bennett. So they should really stop giving this poor boy Favonius weapon, because Favonius sword has one of the worst base attacks. It's okay, but there are like 1,000 better options for the base attack. So again, this team had problems, but it wasn't like the absolute worst, I guess. Fifth team, Ayato, Xianling, Yelan, and Diona. This team was okay. First of all, Xianling had no energy recharge. Like, without a second pyro here and her horrendous stats, Xianling was basically useless in this team. Ayato and Yelan are good, okay, extra max HP from the Hydro Resonance, double Hydro for some good application, I guess, to vape Xianling's ultimate, although it did like no damage, and then Diona as your healer and shielder, sure. The problems. First of all, again, Xianling had no AR. I think she had like 130. 130 on a Xianling is like 0, because she needs like 200 to be really good, because she doesn't generate that much particles. 2, she was using Crimson Witch, which, sure, I guess the extra vape damage is useful, but Xianling has been running Emblem of Severed Fate since Emblem of Severed Fate came out. So I would have actually rather they don't give Xianling Dragon's Bane, they give her the catch, and they also give her Emblem of Severed Fate. But even then, give her just give her Emblem of Severed Fate. Don't give her Crimson Witch. And the biggest one, oh my goodness. The biggest problem in this team was them giving Ayato the flute. Why the fuck did they give Ayato the flute? Like, why? Why? It's one of his worst weapons. Why did they give him Amenoma Kageuchi? Amenoma is one of his best 4 stars. Like, it's a really good weapon for Ayato. Why did they give him the flute? Ayato was literally dealing no damage. And then they give him Echoes of an Offering, which is like not a good set unless you're using Ayato's own weapon or one of the big 5 stars. Like, unless you're using Jade Cutter, Ayato's weapon, Haran, and like Miss Splitter, Echoes isn't good. Also, it's ping dependent. So players who were playing on bad ping, this Ayato, Trial Ayato, was doing even worse damage. Like, Gladiator, Heart of Depth are much better choices for Amenoma and the freaking flute. So why the fuck did this poor guy, why did poor Ayato get so shafted and given the flute? Like, oh my goodness, was this, like, bad. Like, the rotation of this team was okay, but again, Xianling had no ARs, so she couldn't burst every time she needed to burst, and then Ayato was basically useless with the flute, so wow, was this team bad to play. Sixth team, this was a mono pyro team, Klee again, with the same problems as before, so I would have easily liked Dill, Kyoimiya, anybody else. Xianling, where here in a mono pyro team she does better because she has a lot of particles, but she still isn't running Emblem of Severed Fate. Kazuha was there as the mono pyro like buffer, sure, and then Benny. Because Benny, he's in a pyro team, okay. So yeah, this team had a good concept of mono pyro, but both of the main DPSs were scuffed. Klee, as I said, clunky, and then Xianling with no ER. So what are these team comps? Like, good mono pyro, but use actually good, like, use pyro DPSs that everybody can use and build Xianling correctly, goddammit. And then the last team was the only good one. It was Heizu, Yelan, Beidou, and Cookie Shinobu. Perfect. Just absolutely perfect. We have Heizu as the on-field driver with Witzith and Viridescent, so he's swirling to help his teammates damage, but while also outputting good damage himself. We have Yelan as our Hydro Applier and Damage Booster, and then we have Cookie and Beidou as our electro appliers, plus Cookie gives you a good amount of healing. She had Tenacity of the Millilith, think fuck. And they both had like, and Cookie had like Favonius Sword, that's okay. I think Cookie does need an energy recharge weapon. Beidou on the other hand, oh my goodness, they gave her the Royal Greatsword, and I think they actually gave the Royal Greatsword to Chongyun as well. Why? What is this obsession with giving Chongyun and Beidou, especially Beidou, the fucking Royal series? I think they've even given it to like Xinyan. What the fuck is up with the Royal series? Is the worst, like not one, the worst weapons in the entire game. Not only are they not worth the star glitter, but they're just garbage. Absolutely garbage. No theory crafter, not even me, would... like, we don't even talk about the Royal series. They do not exist in our eyes. They absolutely do not exist. Why is it on Beidou? Why doesn't she have anything else? Just anything. Fucking Favonius Greatsword, Sacrificial Great, anything, literally anything. I would even take a Snow-Toothed Star Silver compared to the Royal series. I do not understand. And if you want to be lore accurate, give her the Black Cliff, like Claymore. Why did she have the Royal one? Absolutely garbage. I do not understand. She had Thundering Fury, which I guess is okay. But I don't think it's actually her best build, even on Electrocharge. So she didn't need Thundering Fury, but the weapon was the big problem. But this team was just all great. We have, again, Heizu as the driver with most of the field time, and then all of the other characters just come in for a second or two to use bursts and skills. And then back to Heizu to deal damage and swirl. Perfect. The only freaking team that was okay, in rotations at least. But it still had problems with poor Beidou getting shafted. Also, actually, about Yellen. Is Sacrificial any good on her? Because I don't own her, nor do I use her. Because from what I would understand, Sacrificial isn't that good on Yellen, because she takes too much field time. Until you use one of your skills, and then you want to use one of your skills and then burst. Using two of them just takes too much time. For Xingqiu, with the Sacrificial Sword, he just uses his skill twice, and it just goes. Like, it's very, very quick compared to Yellen running around, needing to catch all of the enemies and then pull them together. So, I don't think that Sacrificial is really a good choice on Yellen. Like, for Diona, where she also used Sacrificial, she's also very quick. Throw the pause again. Nothing, no field time. But like Yellen? No. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Sacrificial bad on Yellen because she doesn't have a lot of activations on her skill? I don't think that the multiple damaging, like she does damage once when you activate her skill. And I think that, like even if you hit multiple enemies, that is the trigger for Sacrificial. Not the multiple enemies hit, that one trigger. Because Diona has lots of paws that fly around at random instances of time. So she can actually like hit Sacrificial lots of times. And then Xingqiu, of course, has his 2 slashes. So those can activate a Sacrificial Sword. Here with Yellen, it's just bad. So that's also a badly built character for our good thing. Yellen had Emblem of Severed Fate, but not any other character that can actually use and should use Emblem of Severed Fate. Like, oh boy. And that is the Phase Potions event. It was ass. Not only the teams, man. They had this terrain. If you've gone to the Liyue domains, the one-time domains, you know of the Clouds domains. Oh my god, was that terrain so bad as an arena. Like, I was completely lost in the first times this was in the domain. Like, such a bad arena to fight in. Because it's all clouds. You cannot position yourself. It's all clouds. You can't see anything. Oh boy. So yeah, Phase Potions, extremely bad. Really bad. Not enjoyable. The mechanic was okay, but could have been much better with being just Zawarudo. And the teams, the trial teams were so bad. 90% of them were bad. Absolutely bad. The characters were badly built. They sucked. so you couldn't kill it felt bad. It felt so sluggish trying to kill the enemies to get the potion, and then when you use the potion to kill everyone, it was like, this is gameplay, I guess. Right, so this was bad. I would have preferred the Battle Misty dungeon approach, where here's a list of trial characters, build the team that you want to play. That's it, the end. So, wow, was this Phase Potions event bad? Very bad. I do not want this to rerun, or I want them to seriously change it if it is to be, if we are to see it again. So then, let's get to the Sumeru exploration part of the video. So, disclaimer, of course, major spoilers for general exploration and for many of the quests and a bit of the Archon quest here. Okay, so watch this if you don't care about the spoilers or if you've already done this stuff. And, since a lot of time has passed since Sumeru's release, I think we're okay with doing this. So, in general, exploration in Sumeru was decent. It was it was enjoyable. It is Genshin Impact exploration. Most of it, like 90% of it, is nice and fun. I think the big one, of course, that everybody mentioned is the Aranara quest. I like the Aranara quest, both the main quest that it had, and then we had the scattered Aranara throughout the map. I will have to say that it felt like both the main quest, actually, and the scattered Aranara were just a bit too much. Like, the quest did drag on for just a tiny bit more than it should have, and then the Aranara amount is just way too many. It's like 76 Aranara in this area. It's just a bit too much, but it's not crazy. I would have liked it was 60, maybe 50, or even if with the 76, if you could just check how many you've done. Like, go to the Aranara that gives you the chests, and then it will tell you, hey, you've got 15 other Aranara to check out in the overworld. Like, that would have been awesome. So that basically everybody didn't have to go and follow guides on YouTube or sites. Because with 76 and how they're placed, you need a guide. And again, with no checking if you've done them, to know how many you've done, which one maybe you have missed. No, again, the Aranara with the chest could have easily told you, there's 3 in this area, 5 in this area, this and that, or just you're missing 15 Aranara to give you these chests. That would have been nice, And one thing that is tied with general exploration and the Aranara is the towers with the mirrors. Now, in order to find some Aranara, you need to hit the mirror with Electro. In the tutorial for the mirror, it does say this mirror can be activated using Electro. But tell me, what do you understand from can be activated using Electro? For me, is that if you hit it with Electro, you'll be able to use it. But you can use the mirror anyway, so I'm like, maybe I'll find the mirror that can't be used and then I'll hit it with Electro. No, the mirrors need to be hit with Electro to activate them in order to find the Aranara. You can just use them like this. So this was just confusing because I was looking at the Aranara guide, and then I see that you need to find them and hit the Electro thing, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Where did it say that you need to hit the mirrors with Electro to use them like this? And I don't know if this is a mistranslation from the English side of things, or is it just bad wording? When you say activated using Electro, that's what I understand. If you tell me that hitting these mirrors with Electro can reveal secrets, then it makes sense, or can reveal things, just something like that. Or hitting them with Electro seems to have some effect. Not activated. When you tell me activated, that means I shouldn't be able to use it at the start, at first, and when I hit it with Electro, then I can use it as I do. It was a bit annoying, Of course, wording in tutorials in Genshin is completely bad in many times, so this really hurt. I didn't know that there were Aranara to be found using the mirrors, because again, the tutorial for the mirrors never mentioned it. Or the wording was just bad. As for the main quest of the Aranara stuff, I just didn't like how it constantly was branching. You know, the type of quest that I absolutely hate in games. The one guy gives you the quest, tells you to go find 2 or 3 stuff. You go to those 2, 3 stuffs, and then from that, they tell you, each of them tells you to go to find 3 other things in order to give you their thing. Like, I hated that. You started off the Aranara quest in the village. You were told go to 3 spots in order to meet the different Aranara. And then those Aranara told you go meet other 3 idiots. And it's like, no, I don't like that type of quest. And that's why it dragged on for a bit too much. I liked that this Aranara quest went all throughout the map because the Aranara are a very essential part of Sumeru, right? But, oh my goodness, I don't want to go to one of them, go to 3 of them, then go to other 3, like each of them give me other 3 Aranara, and then do more stuff with other NPCs appearing there, and like, I didn't like that part. Overall, it was a great experience with some actually good lore, but holy fuck, I did not like just filling up my quest menu with a bunch of these quests. Like, a bit annoying. But for quest, that was okay. Archon quest, it's not complete, of course. For the first part of the Archon quest, the only comment I have to say is that the dream sequence went on for a bit too long. A bit too much. We need just a few less of these loops, and we would have been okay. It just went on for a bit too long with the loops. And I have to say, I actually liked the dialogue where at the end of the quest, Kusanali says, "Let's go meet at the traveler's favorite bench." I really like that line. It's good joke. But other than that, again, it was okay. Again, just the dream sequence went on for a bit too long. So that's for the quests. Overworld stuff. I absolutely dislike how all of the fungi enemies drop different materials. So if you don't know, you haven't noticed, if you hit the little mushrooms, the big mushroom, just any fungi, if you hit them with pyro or electro to make them scorched or activated, they give you different drops compared to their normal counterparts. And the problem is that because in Sumeru, many of the mechanisms, like the jumping flowers, like, and again, other kinds of mechanisms that Sumeru has, they need electro and pyro to do their puzzles. So you're running around with a party that has at least a Dendro, Electro, and maybe a Pyro character. I had Zhongli, Tinari, Kazuha, and Fischl as my like Dendro puzzles team, but when I was going up against the fungi enemies, Fischl was absolutely useless. So depending on the party that you're using, many of your characters are rendered unusable because you want these enemies to not be hit with Electro or Pyro so that they give you the appropriate drops. And as I was farming for Tinari, and I think many other characters will use them, you want the regular drops, not the activated ones. So this was extremely annoying. Like, if the small mushrooms and the little squiggly ones gave the normal drops, and the big ones gave you the activated drops, that would have been perfectly fine, because there's a ton of them all around the map. But when you tell me, you gotta use specific elements against them or else you're fucked, it becomes really annoying to farm for Tinari. It's a really bad mechanic, I believe, to have these different drops this way. I despise it a lot, because the same friend that didn't like Lost Witches, they also got Tinari, and they were farming for Tinari to raise his level and his talents, and they were like, oh man, I don't have many of these like fungi drops. And then I look at their team and how they're fighting them, and how they were fighting them, and I'm like, they drop different drops because you hit them with pyro because you have a Toma, right? And they were like, are you kidding me? Really now? Yeah, and I'm like, you need to like get rid of your Toma. And it's like, and they were like, thanks, man. Thanks. Wow, that's really good. Yeah, so this different drops thingy, really annoying. Other than that, lots of meat. Because holy crap, do the animals in Sumeru drop lots of meat. Like the crocodiles drop a lot of meat. The sumpter beasts, as they're called, drop a lot of meat. Like, what the? I had like 1,000 meat when I started Sumeru, and now I have like 2,000 plus. So much meat. So much meat. Other than that, in Apam Woods, right, you have the mechanic of switching the weather to rain and sunny. There's a really annoying thing where they have the bubbles on the rainy version. Some of them, 99% of them have random mobs inside. But there's like 2 or 3 of them that are challenges that reward you with chests, I believe, or just like exploration progress and like the time challenges achievement. So what is that? Why do 2 random ass bubbles like have challenges in them? I went to the Apam Woods while it was raining. I popped bubbles and I saw that there were enemies inside, no any drops or anything, so I was like, okay, they have like the rain traps the mobs. I like this idea. So when I finished the Aranara quest and I was able to switch it to sunny, I was like, I'm missing some time challenges. And then I look at a guide, I'm like, random ass bubbles have challenges. And it's like, wow. Just miHoYo stuff, really. These really dumbly hidden challenges that have no hint whatsoever. So I did not like the random bubbles that had challenges. So yeah. Other note, the quest with the child in the cave in the Aranara. So when you finish the Aranara quest, you find this garden that they have. And throughout Sumeru, you have these nurseries where you do a puzzle where you need to walk through the grass and not like cross it again. And then you get a Vasm tree that you plant in the Aranara garden. You do that, and then after a daily reset, in the dream Aranara, flowers spawn. Well, at some point you find a child in a cave, and what you need to do is go back to the Aranara garden while you're not in the dream, see that sweet flowers have spawned, and then go find the child and bring them there. And there's no trigger, no hint to tell you, visit the garden while you're not in the dream to, do something. Like, they could have easily put Paimon saying, hey, I wonder if anything has happened in the non-dream version of the garden. What if there's different flowers, or what if there's anything? And you would go and you'll see there's the sweet flowers, and then the dialogue will play. And like this thing again, miHoYo stuff, where the simplest of quality of life things would make the experience much better. But nope, you find the child, you're like, Google search, what the fuck is this child? And then you're like, oh yeah, sure, I would of course have known to go to the non-dream version of the garden to get the quest. Right, so that was really annoying. Also, in the main Aranara quest, right, you finish it, you rescue the girl, Rana, I think is her name, and then if you go to the notebook that they give you, you have the quest that you need to go find a suspicious person, the Among Us guy, the imposter in the village. And you go find the guy, and then you talk to him. You tell them to go the fuck away, that's what I did, from the village, and that's where you expect that the quest will end. You shoot the guy. But no, you need to go to a random spot in the Lost Nursery and find a letter that has spawned, and that's when you finish the quest. That's when you get a check mark in the book. Why? What the fuck is the point of the letter? What's the point of the letter finishing the quest? If it was just found in the village, maybe the guy left it at some point, or he gave you the letter or something, like that would have been better. But telling me to go to the other side of Sumeru to find a random letter that just spawned, where there's no hint of it in the book, just to get the check mark, is really annoying. Again, miHoYo stuff, no hints whatsoever, random ass bullshit that you are 100% gonna need a guide to find. Because I bet you won't finish the quest, you won't get the check mark. You at some point will go to the Lost Nursery, find the letter, and then at some point you'll check the book and you'll be like, how did I get the check mark? That seems random, right? Like, annoying things, man. Like, you would expect that 2 years now, we had quests and stuff that with no hints whatsoever that were very annoying and basically needed a guide. You would think they would fix it. They haven't. And it's kind of nitpicking, but I think that it is genuinely annoying. It's just not a good picture of your exploration when there's no hints for the player on what to do. It's not good for your game when you need a guide to finish something, because again, you didn't put anything into the game to hint the player towards what they're meant to do. So that's that. Anything else? The render distance needs fixing. Okay, we need a render distance slider so that people that are on the mobile and are on powerful PCs can make it so that things render farther. Because so many times in the Apam Woods and other places, I would see an IKEA chest, as my friend calls it, like the furniture chest. I think they're called remarkable. I would see one of these chests, and I'll be like, oh, there's maybe a camp there or a puzzle there. I would go, and just slightly going forward, the tree would appear. Like the hollow tree would appear around the chest and hide it. And I'm like, yeah, we need to fix the render distance. We need to fix the render distance, because this is just bullshit. Like, this is way too dumb to have the chest spawned, but the hollow tree not there, right? Like, oh boy. Other than that, nothing much. The withering zones, right? I think they were okay. Nothing really interesting there. You know, they're a bit dangerous because they lower you the max HP. And, you know, if you get hit by enemies, your HP further goes down and you might actually just die. But I think that most players are gonna do perfectly fine against these. Like, I don't think that any player would have much of a problem and be super scared to go into the withering zone because, you know, they're gonna lose their max HP and such. So I think, like, you know, the withering zones, cool, nice. You know, you're done with them. Again, a bit dangerous, good concept, but I think, you know, they're not scary. And that's that. That's the Sumeru exploration that I can think of right now with what we have, of course. There's plenty of areas to be opened, as we know from leaks and such. So maybe once those come around, and hopefully once we get some events to explore them again, we'll talk about them. So that's that for the Sumeru events and exploration. As a full recap, the only good event was really Graven Innocence, because it's the first event of the region and it did its job, while Lost Riches sucked, and the Phase Potions was really bad. Exploration has some nitpicks, but overall, it is really good. That's it for me. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe if you liked the video, you know, and help the channel by subscribing, of course, and I'll see you in another one. Goodbye.